Welcome to the medium analysis on the Chanie Wenjack story. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, the medium is the message. This is a phrase commonly used to express that mediums, which are used to communicate ideas, hold as much, if not more value than the message itself. But what exactly are mediums? Mediums are the way by which authors are able to transmit messages to readers. Many common types of mediums include comics, movies, and websites. As a result of constant exposure, mediums play an integral role in shaping our perspectives and convey meaning through many techniques. These techniques include, but are not limited to, sound, images, text, and feelings, which can include sympathy, anger, sadness, and much more. The technique used heavily depends on what the medium that the author has chosen to present their findings. Imagine, if you will, a deep well in the middle of this barren land. The well in this case is our medium, as the radio or web would be, and the water inside is our message. A rich and reliable well in the middle of the land would naturally become the hub of travelers and even a sustainable population. The water by itself is of no use without the well. If it was inaccessible or people were unaware of its existence, it would not be able to support life. The well, though, as a medium, delivers water to the people passing by or living nearby, and as a result, the well becomes synonymous with water and life, despite being really just a hole in the ground. In this presentation, many different mediums and their corresponding messages will be explored. The mediums will be 1. The graphic novel, The Secret Path. 2. Music, The Secret Path by Gord Downie. 3. A news article published by Maclean's in 1965. And 4. A novella called Wenjack by Joseph Boyden. First, we will be analyzing the graphic novel, The Secret Path. The Secret Path is an 88-page graphic novel written by Jeff Lemire, published by Simon & Schuster, Canada. It is based off of Chanie Wenjack's true story and is depicted through colored illustrations. The pros of using this style include the ability to use color and shading, which helps to highlight certain portions of the graphic novel. For example, if we take a look at this image, we can see that the older man's face has been flushed with color and is nice and round, showing a happy and healthy life. Secondly, the illustrator uses significantly large gutters in comparison to other novels to demonstrate prolonged actions. If you compare a gutter in The Secret Path to another comic book such as Garfield, you can see that the spacing between panels is significantly larger. The images on the page help guide the reader and aid in creating intended feelings. If we take a look at this image, we can see 5 young boys with paper bags over their heads, followed by a crow. This crow can symbolize sadness and emptiness. Lastly, different panel sizes also act as an indicator of time. If we take a look at this image here, we can see a long panel which may show that this period of time is significantly larger. If we look at the other 6 panels below it, each one is very small, meaning that it is a sequential, rapid movement of time. The cons, however, of using this type of medium is that there's a lack of speech bubbles and character narration. This reduces connections that the reader may be able to make with the subject. The next type of medium is music. This is based off of the album, which was created, written, and directed by Gord Downie, composed by Gord Downie with Kevin Drew and Dave Hamlin, and illustrated by the author Jeff Lemire. This is an image of Gord Downie, and here is the illustrator Jeff Lemire. This is a 10-song album which attempts at representing the tough situations that Chanie Wenjack encountered during his journey in residential school and on his journey back home. The pros of this style of medium include that the medium helps keep the audience entertained and interested. It actively incorporates a sense of hearing and allows for personal perception of ideas. Secondly, this has different sounds and properties in music, such as louder noises and deeper tones, which help create feelings of pressure, tension, and sometimes excitement. The cons to this are that listening to the music alone will make it very difficult to make ties with Indigenous rights or Chanie Wenjack, since neither are directly mentioned. If an individual does not know how to relate it back to Indigenous followers, then they may not be able to recognize that this has a relationship to Chanie Wenjack and may treat it as a normal song. To improve this, the music could be accompanied by a visual. In this way, an individual viewing it would be able to make connections and make the most out of it. The third medium that we will be looking at is a news article published by Maclean's from 1967. This was a cover story which told the tragic tale of Chanie Wenjack, a young Indigenous boy who perished after running away from his residential school in Northern Ontario. He attempted to walk 600 kilometers home, unaware of what was ahead of him. Gord Downie has also explained that this story was the inspiration behind his album project. The positive portions of this news article include that using a news article allows the author to provide more textual information, which is very descriptive. This helps create visuals that a reader can use to make more connections. The cons, however, is that a lack of color makes it harder to attract attention and may result in disinterest. If there isn't a way to grab the reader, then the news article really isn't being very effective. Secondly, the ratio of words to relevant images concerning the article was very unequal. This makes the article seem very long and also is a factor that may make it something that people are not interested in. Lastly, it is kind of an ineffective way to reach out to people in the modern day and age. In 1967, it may have been effective, but when concerning people of this age who are mostly dependent on cell phones and laptops, maybe a website would be a better way to reach out to people. Even if it was in article form, an online version may be more accessible to youth and even adults. The final medium is a novella, which is called Wenjack, written by Joseph Boyden. Joseph Boyden released this book in 2016, and it was published by Hamish Hamilton of Penguin Books. It features illustrations by Cree artist Kent Monkman. The pros of this include that, similarly to the news article, this option also allows the author to use words to invoke emotions and to make a little bit more descriptive information on the journey of Chanie Wenjack. Also, each chapter is represented with an image. This image helps to provoke an intended feeling. For example, one of the chapters had a hummingbird. Hummingbirds symbolize a good feeling and provide hope, which means that that chapter may include some positivity. The cons are that a novella can induce different emotions, and ultimately the reader is left to their own imagination to come up with a setting. It may not specifically guide the reader in a direction intended by the author, which means that it becomes open to perceptions and it may fall from what the author was trying to base. Lastly, it is loosely based on Chanie Wenjack's life, and the novella mentions that the dialogues, characters, and events have been fictionally recreated. This means that it may contradict the real story and may not be the most reliable source to use. After having viewed the previous medium options, it is evident that mediums play an effective role in projecting the author's ideas. Again, through specific coding conventions, which we mention as shading, tones, and sounds. They invoke a train of thought either that may be up to the reader himself to come up with or intended through the author, and literary devices such as allusions. The song choice from the album, one of the songs was Seven Matches. It makes an allusion to seven, of course, which is a lucky number, and it also incorporates irony, which demonstrates that although seven is a lucky number, Chanie Wenjack was not able to make his journey home and was therefore unlucky. Now, what was the most effective method, you ask? Well, there are a couple of things you need to consider before creating that. One is your target audience. You need to recognize who your age direction is, who your gender direction is, and the professions or occupations you're going to reach out to. Next, availability. You want to know that what is accessible to others, what is readily available for others to use. And lastly, engagement. You want to create something that will hook someone in, that will help them stay focused and involved in your presentation. Presentation methods, such as this presentation that you're viewing currently, are especially strong mediums to use. For example, the target audience for this specific presentation was young youth, young adults, and high school students. In order to present this as a readily available resource, uploading this to YouTube would be a great idea. YouTube is a free website and it is accessible to students and young children around the whole world. A video like this keeps all the information in an orderly manner, keeping it smooth and short, while also using interesting transitions to keep the viewers engaged and to move from topic to topic. By incorporating a voiceover, the student also receives an opportunity to learn through auditory and visionary senses, hopefully making their memory and the way they perceive this stronger. Thank you for sticking and playing through this presentation. I hope it helped you and me become a better viewer of mediums. Thank you and have a good night.